How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to Studio 110. Justin, I've been trying to get you to know you better.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know more about you.
You want to know like the inside
I
of
want
who
to get deeper.
Right.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
We got an important question.
Okay.
What is the craziest thing you've ever done?
The craziest thing that I have ever done. I've done a lot of things. One time I almost got kicked out of the happiest place on the earth.
Really?
Absolutely. Like I legitimately almost got on the ban list for the rest of my life in Disney World when I was a senior in high school.
How do you get kicked out of Disney World?
It's the happiest place on earth, but as a senior in high school, you do dumb things.
That's just a fact.
There's a ride there called the Hollywood Tower of Terror.
Right.
And it's epic. You get in an elevator and it shoots you up and then it drops you and then it's back up and then it drops you like over and over again. Well, I'm gonna preface this, don't try this at home. So don't. On the Tower of Terror, it's just a little lap seatbelt.
Right.
And it locks in place at like its lowest point. So if you come in and you hold the seatbelt above you and kind of tuck it under your butt, when the ride starts, you pull the seatbelt out and you kind of free fall, like you float. And so my friends and I were like, let's do it. So like 6, 7 times in a row, we're out there and we'd get as much seatbelt as we could. And as soon as it dropped, like you'd see it. Well, the last time, 2 of my friends were on the front row and they decided this is the perfect time to climb out of my seatbelt on the front row of the Hollywood Tower of Terror and fall. And so we get to the top and they have climbed out of their seatbelt and it's latched against the bottom now. Like they can't get back in it because it latches at its lowest point. And it drops for the first time and I literally see my friends on the precipice of death, like holding on to the handrail here. One of them has a hand on top of the cage and they're falling out of the seat like that. So evidently, the people at Disney were watching us and they knew what we were doing.
Because Disney's always watching.
Because Disney is always watching. And the lights come on and it slowly lowers us all the way down to the ground. So you know in Disney, it's all a cast. Like every team member is a cast member. And so when the doors opened, I for the first time saw someone in Disney World that worked there that was not a cast member. It was a man in a suit with an earpiece. And he points to all the people that were not a part of our group and says, y'all get out. And then pointed to us and said, all right, it's time for you all to leave Disney World. And we had this moment of panic. Like my family's never gonna see me again. And for 5 minutes, he lectures us on safety and what it means to be a living human being and almost dying on the Hollywood Tower of Terror. And then he says, all right, don't let me see you on this ride ever again today.
I appreciate the ever again today.
Right?
Yes.
That's so lenient. Well, wow. Okay, well now I know that I definitely need to go to Disney World with Justin Simpson. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We have a great show for you. Be sure to keep yourself in the comments so you can stay a part of the conversation. But other than that, we hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today at Studio 110. We're so excited that you are with us as we continue just to lean into questions like, who is Jesus really? What are his teachings? This is a safe space as you're on your journey of investigating questions of faith and spirituality. And what we want to do is provide you maybe not even the right answers, because you'll have to figure those out for yourself, but maybe just give you and help you formulate some questions that will lean into the teachings of Jesus to help you decide, is Jesus somebody that I want to follow and that I could become a disciple of in my life? And so I want to share a talk today called Pretend Love or Real Love. Pretend Love or Real Love. I was at a wedding this past week, and at the wedding I was having a conversation with my birthday twin. We were born on the same day. He's 20 years younger than me, but we were sharing this wedding. I was officiating the wedding. He was there at the wedding, and I had not even eaten lunch yet. It was getting later on in the afternoon, and so it was Joey and I, and we were having a conversation about food, and Joey gets this kind of sad look on his face as I was talking about eating whatever it was, and he said, man, I'm on paleo. I'm on paleo. You just got to know, like, Joey looks like a linebacker, all right? This is not somebody that I'm like, oh yeah, bro, you're on paleo. I'm like, you're on paleo? He said, yeah. He just looks so sad. He looks so sad. He was like, he's been married about a year. He said, my wife tricked me onto paleo. And this all started out like with rice. It started out with rice, and he was eating. He's like, "Where's our rice?" And Emma's answer to Joey was, "Well, this is cauliflower rice." And I would just like to insert an editorial comment at this point that no, it's not. It's not rice. It's cauliflower, but it's not rice. Those are two completely different things. And so I said, look, I know you're suffering right now, but we're just going to believe that the Lord is going to provide. So we were helping set up for the wedding, and we were taking out all of these mini bundt cakes and these little cupcake bundt cakes. And we were setting them on there, and I took out a whole package from underneath the table, opened it up, and as I told you, God provides. He provides. He sees your suffering during moments of paleo, and 75% of the cupcakes in that box were completely turned over. You can't serve those at a wedding. You can't put those out. Those have to be eaten, but you can't put them on the table. And so Joey and I took this moment as a divine appointment from the Lord, and we snuck behind the tent, and this is my wife. She happened to snap a picture of it, but we feasted on these cupcakes behind the wedding tent, and that's my confession out there that we did this. But here's the thing. There is a difference between real and pretend. Those bundt cakes were real, and they were very satisfying. They were not made with cauliflower, rice flour, or whatever other thing that was pretending to be food. The great theologian Ron Swanson says about skim milk, he says that there are two things that I hate in life, liars and skim milk. And skim milk is basically something that's lying about being real milk. And I would agree with Ron Swanson. So let's go now to the teaching. We're talking about pretend love and real love. Pretend love and real love. I think if we're all honest, we would say that we want to find to some degree love in our life, like having the choice between living a life filled with love or living a life filled with hate. Do I want a whole lot of people to love me, or do I want people to hate me? Do I want to experience evil, or do I want to experience kindness? I think most of us would choose love, would choose kindness, and yet if you go to the teachings of Jesus in the book of Romans in the Bible, it says this. It says, don't just pretend to love others, really love. Don't just pretend. So apparently there is such a thing as fake love, as pretend love. And so what I want to do is help us identify, well, what is pretend love and what is real love? And if we're looking for something that's real, we can lean into that. So we're just going to walk through 5 things real quick through this passage of Scripture. And the first thing is this. The first thing is this. Pretend love refuses to acknowledge evil. And this is all found in that Romans scripture. But it says that pretend love refuses to acknowledge evil. Real love hates what is evil. I don't know about you, but that's a little weird for me to digest at first because, wait, we're talking about love here, but hate. Love and hate. And sometimes we think that those are opposites, but here it puts them side to side, and it says that pretend love won't even acknowledge something as evil, but real love is going to call, like if it's wrong, it calls it out that it's wrong. There's a really smart guy, a writer named C.S. Lewis, and I would encourage you, if you are investigating questions of faith and spirituality, there might not be a better writer than C.S. Lewis to lean into. He wrote a book called Mere Christianity. He was an atheist, and he walked through this process of discovering who Jesus was and who God was in his life, and he said this. One of the things that was an intellectual struggle for him was this idea of evil. So he said this, my argument against God was that the universe seemed so cruel and unjust. But how had I gotten this idea of just and unjust? A man doesn't call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. And so maybe you're saying, well, how could there be a good, loving God out there when there's so much evil in the world? And what C.S. Lewis says is, yeah, but how do you even know that something's evil? How do you know something's wrong unless there really is something that's true love? Just an idea to throw out. The second thing is pretend love lets go easily. Real love holds tightly to what is good. If you've ever seen the show American Ninja Warrior, you know that show is really all about grip strength. It's all, in fact, to see some of the things that these guys and ladies hold on to is absolutely amazing. The grip strength of being able to grab hold of those with one hand. And the Bible's teaching that that's what real love does. Real love holds on during the hard times. If you want to know if you're dating someone and you want to know if it's real or not, if you've broken up 8 times, let me just be the voice to your life and say it's probably not going to last, because that's a love that's easily letting go over and over and over. Real love sticks with you during the difficult times. Number 3 is this: pretend love refuses to honor. Real love takes delight in honoring each other. So if you're with somebody and if it's real love, they're going to honor you. You're going to feel respected. You're going to feel valued. Their actions, how they serve you, how they speak to you, the tone at which they speak to you, you will feel honored, and you won't walk away from that feeling depleted. Some relationships in our life you walk away from, and if we're honest, we feel like we're more depleted emotionally than we were poured into. And I would just say that may not be a truly loving relationship. The 4th thing is this: pretend love is in it for what I can get. Real love is in it for what I can give. I call this a vending machine love. Like as long as I push the button and you give me what I want emotionally, physically, materially, as long as I give you the cue and you're giving me what I want, then I'm okay. But as soon as you don't give me what I'm expecting or what I want, then I'm done with you. That's pretend love. Real love is in it for what you can give the other person, not just for what you can suck out of them. Here's the final thing: pretend love wishes for happily ever after, but real love rejoices in confident hope. There's a difference between just wishing that everything is going to be right in life and having what the Bible teaches through Jesus can be a confident hope. How can you know that? Because it's dependent on the person, isn't it? And it's dependent on their history. And that's why it's so important to ask the question, who is Jesus really? Because if Jesus is somebody that can be trusted in the past, then just maybe he can be trusted in the future. Real love or fake love. A friend of mine has gotten into sneakers, and he told me that he bought a pair of sneakers the other day, and he didn't know this, but he got them back, and he had one of his other buddies investigate them, and it ended up, he paid I think a good amount of money for them, and it ended up they were fakes. Now, he's just getting into this, and so he said, I had no idea. Like, on the outside, everything looked, the logo, the branding, the coloring, everything looked on the outside, but there was only a few things, a few minor differences that unless you really knew, unless you really dug in, one of the things was it looked okay on the outside, but it wasn't the same on the inside. And have you seen that? Like, this relationship, it looked really good from a distance, but once you started digging in, once you started to get to know the person, there were some things on the inside that you're like, I'm not sure if this is really real. And then here's the thing that was really interesting to me. One of the ways that you can tell if a sneaker is real or not, and I don't have a black light, but what they'll do is they'll put a black light over it. They'll hover a black light. And the light will reveal markings and imperfections that you can tell that that's a fake. So when something is exposed to light, it reveals whether that thing is real or not. Let me finish with this. Maybe in your life you found yourself looking for real love. I want to be valued. I want to be appreciated. I want somebody to honor me. I want somebody to not let go of me when times get tough. I want somebody that's going to be in it not just for what they can get out of me, but for what they can pour into me. And maybe you've put your trust in a person, or maybe you've had multiple people, or maybe it's a thing or a job or an achievement in life, something that you really put all of your value into, and the light shone on that relationship, and you realized that's a fake. That's a fake. That can be hurtful. That can bring disillusionment. And here's what I want to leave with you today. Here's the final question that I want to leave with you today. Have you found real love in your life? Have you found that thing that you're looking for? Have you found that true meaning that even if circumstances aren't great, that you can say, I've got a confident love, I've got a confident hope? Or have the things that you've been trying, have you found them to be wanting or lacking or failing? And then, if so, if you're still searching, what if Jesus could be that real love that you're searching for?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Why Am I Up Here? I'm Not Qualified. This is our Q&A portion of the show. We took questions from our live audience, and we'll see them at the same time you do. The one thing we love to lean in here is the fact that I don't know is an acceptable answer.
Absolutely.
We're going to do our best to answer these questions first and foremost biblically, and then we may give some personal insight. But without further ado, Justin, can you hit us with that first question?
Yeah, I think our first question is something like this. What's wrong with wanting a happily ever after? Like, the Disneyland fairy tale happily ever after. What is wrong with wanting that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say absolutely nothing is wanting that, desiring that. It's just that frustration. So let me define frustration. Frustration is the gap between your expectation and reality, right? And so if my expectation is what I see on Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast or whatever, if that's my expectation that is what real love looks like, and my current relationship has things like I got married and I find out that people have bad breath in the morning before they brush their teeth.
Shocking.
There is a gap in reality, right? And so I don't think there's ever anything wrong with hoping, dreaming, I want something beyond. I want that kind of love in my life and not settling for it. There's a difference between settling for second best and dealing with reality. And so that's all that I would say there is just don't have an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, if I could add an anecdote just real quick. So Happily Ever After in the movies ends at the wedding.
Yeah.
Right? That's how the
right.
movie ends.
Absolutely.
And it's great. But if you're me, then your wedding's over and you're going on your honeymoon the next day and you left your suitcase at your mom's house. Right? So for my wife, Happily Ever After was, oh, great, we're married. Now I got to go in my wedding dress to my in-laws' house when I just want to go home, get to sleep. So there's the expectation to end at the wedding is sort of a shortfall because what's greater is after that, in the challenges, in the my husband's an idiot and forgot his suitcase at his mom's house. Like that.
He still needs his mom.
Right.
Right.
I'm his new mom.
I'm his mom now.
But really, it's in wrestling with those things that you fall into deeper love. So if you just want what you see in the movies, well, then it stops at the wedding. But then you have forever after that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about this? What about this idea? If I don't feel delight when I'm choosing to show love, am I giving real love? Like if it's not giving me joy when I'm doing it, is it even real?
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes you feel your way into acting, but a lot of times you act your way into feeling. There's a lot of times I don't feel like serving. There's a lot of times I don't feel like, fill in the blank. I don't feel like preaching. I don't feel like doing the dishes. I don't feel like loading the dishwasher, whatever it is. And so I think the misnomer is you have to feel your way into acting. So I got to feel it first, and out of my feelings I act. No, sometimes I act, and then I feel afterwards, or I don't, but it's still love. It's still love.
Does that mean then that love isn't delightful? Because then what it kind of sounds like is like if I want to choose to give real love, then I have to give up delight.
Yeah. So I would say some parts of love are not delightful. Some parts of love are serving when I don't feel like serving and giving when I don't feel like giving. But it's in that I think then that you find those moments of delight. So if you don't in working out, if you don't do the hard stuff, you don't get the benefit of it on the other side.
Yeah. how can Jesus fully fulfill the need for real love in my life?
Ooh, so can I answer this super nuanced? So how can Jesus fully fulfill? All right. So here's a Christianese thing that we throw out that I would argue is not true at all. Jesus is all I need. Like if you grew up in church or you walk into a church, they're singing a worship song or they're singing a song. Worship is our direction and adoration to God. Sometimes that's expressed in music. And you'll walk in and you'll hear them singing, Jesus, you're all I need, you're all I need. I would say that's false. And it's actually anti-Bible. So, for instance, Adam had God. Perfect relationship with God, perfect relationship with his surroundings, no sin. Mm-hmm. And God said it wasn't good. He needed Eve, right? So, although Jesus, here's what I would say. No, I don't think any other need in your life will be fully satisfied without Jesus. But then out of that, Jesus is not all I need. I also need relationship with people around me.
So then, like, what am I supposed to do in my daily life? Like, because I thought I was supposed to drop everything and follow Christ, right? Like, isn't that what he tells us? So if I'm just following him, then where do I have time to chase after or build relationships with other people?
Yeah, so I would say Jesus' words were part of following him is relationship with other people. So Jesus says the greatest commandment is loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, right? So if I am following Jesus with everything, then I will be in good relationship and right relationship with everyone else.
Can I find real love on dating sites?
Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've seen Christian love, and that's in quotation marks, firsthand, and it looks no different than mine. Why should I submit to this teaching when it clearly doesn't work in the real world?
And we're out of time. Yeah, I would say that would be your experience, and I'm sorry for that if that is your experience. I would say that's not everybody's experience, and my question would be that what is the definition of Christian love? My hunch is that things were done in the name of Christ. That weren't true followings of his teachings. That would be my.
And then also, if I could just add real quick, like the Christian life isn't the pursuit of perfection. It's the understanding that we can't be perfect. So Christians shouldn't be your ideal standard for how I should act. Christ should be.
That's true.
The reason that is because we still fail. Yeah. Like just because we call ourselves Christ followers, like our love is still flawed. That's why we lean on him. And so the example shouldn't be the flaws that you see, but how people take steps in redemption after those flaws.
That's good.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for joining us today for our Q&A and Watch What Happens Live right here in Studio 110. We are so glad that you were a part of this conversation. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe everything and join in the conversation.
Thank you for joining us today. We are so glad that you were able to be a part. We feel like some people watching this right now sort of feel judgment and condemnation from everybody in their life, and you kind of feel like the waves are crashing down all around you.
Yeah, and we believe that God is inviting you to come to him, and that in him you can find true life.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, make sure to keep yourself in those comments so you can keep yourself as a part of the conversation. Like this video, hit subscribe, you know what to do. If you're looking for further conversation, check out links in the description below where you can find groups to have conversations with. We're so glad that you joined us today. We can't wait to see you next time.